Have you ever wondered if the Illuminati disappeared or merely changed robes? What if they're operating right now from within the sacred halls of the Vatican itself? Get ready to dive into a mystery that goes far beyond appearances. If you're new here, subscribe now to Vaticano Occulto, hit the notification bell, and leave a like. In this video, we'll expose why secret documents point to dangerous ties between the Illuminati and high-ranking members of the Catholic clergy. The Illuminati dossier is about to be opened. But be warned, some truths were never meant to be read. Throughout this video, we'll reveal documents, symbols, hidden connections, and long-forgotten evidence. You'll be invited to follow each clue, each trace, each whisper from the past. We're going to uncover what many choose to keep buried. But remember, truth has a price. And in this case, it might be the very reality you think you know. Take a deep breath. Put on your headphones. What you're about to discover isn't just history. It's a summons to the unknown. Within the silent corridors of the Holy See lie stories the average eye will never witness. Tales buried beneath centuries of silence. Manuscripts that mention names erased from history. Midnight gatherings, and pacts sealed under blood oaths. Today, fragments of a dark power game come to light. One where faith and manipulation walk hand in hand. And the question guiding this investigation is as simple as it is unsettling. Could the Illuminati still be operating in the shadows of the Vatican? In the oldest wing of the Vatican Apostolic Library, protected by thick stone walls and absolute silence, rested a forgotten chamber whose keys had been lost over time. It wasn't until 1999, during emergency restoration work after foundation leaks, that workers stumbled upon what looked like a small archive crypt. Inside, hidden within an iron vault sealed with 3 papal stamps, was a set of documents bearing a symbol, a triangle engulfed in flames. No official crest, no visible signature, only what appeared to be a coded name, Lux Domini 322. The scholars assigned to its translation initially classified the find as an apocryphal fragment. But among the manuscripts was something impossible to ignore: correspondence between a Roman cardinal from the 18th century and a mysterious Order of the North. In these texts, terms like access to the summit, initiation, and symbolic alignment were repeated with almost liturgical precision. What disturbed the scholars most was the subtle repetition of symbols now widely associated with the Illuminati. The all-seeing eye, the inverted pyramid, and the number 13 encircled by a serpent. The documents also referenced meetings held during lunar eclipses and a vow of silence imposed by an order unrecognized by the Church. But why were these records hidden deep within the Vatican's core? And who had the power to authorize their complete secrecy? And that's what ignited the investigation. Because if these fragments were real, what else remained hidden? The answer seemed to lead down an even deeper trail, where power and faith intertwined with secrecy, and where truth never walked alone. As the documents were decrypted, it became clear that this wasn't just any record. It was the beginning of a dossier, a deliberately organized compendium created not to denounce, but to archive. As if someone, Somewhere high in the hierarchy was ensuring this secret society would never be forgotten, but never exposed either. A file meant to be rediscovered only by those who knew exactly what to look for. The Vatican-led investigation took a darker turn when, among the recovered documents, a ciphered letter surfaced, signed by one of the most influential clerics of the 18th century, a cardinal closely connected to the Pope at the time. The letter, addressed to an unnamed recipient, referenced discreet meetings in remote locations around Rome, where matters of light and continuity were discussed under veils of incense and silence. Curiously, this phrase, light and continuity, appears in 3 other letters, each from different decades, all written by high-ranking church officials. A pattern began to emerge. Code names repeated. Specific locations were mentioned, such as the catacombs of San Callisto and the Basilica of San Clemente, places whose underground structures allowed for secret gatherings away from the public eye. But was it all coincidence or ritualistic design? A linguistic analysis conducted by external experts revealed that the texts used a modified form of archaic Latin, something never officially taught in seminaries. This inverted Latin, as it was later called, carried ritualistic and symbolic connotations, leading analysts to a disturbing conclusion. The authors were operating within an initiatory structure, a parallel clergy, perhaps? The records also pointed to the existence of a communication network between church outposts in Vienna, Prague, Lisbon, and Paris. This network was maintained by messengers and clergy, acting outside the traditional hierarchical chain. Among the listed names, one stood out: Dom Raphael C., an archbishop who mysteriously vanished in 1785 after publicly declaring that light had turned to darkness within the heart of faith. The documents never explicitly mention the Illuminati, but they refer repeatedly to an Ordo Lucis Aeterna, Order of Eternal Light, and the Latin phrase Fraternitas Supra Ecclesiam, meaning the brotherhood above the church. This language reinforced the theory of a parallel organization, with members embedded in the highest levels of the Vatican, an invisible government operating within a sacred one. All signs suggested that this network functioned like a web, silent, untouchable. But something even more disturbing lay ahead, because where there is structure, there are symbols, and symbols, as in every secret society, are the key to understanding what lies beyond the visible. What came next made it clear. The signs had been right before our eyes for centuries. When researchers turned their attention to visual elements inside Rome's oldest churches, they noticed something strange. Certain decorative patterns were repeated across distinct locations, even when built centuries apart. A triangle encircled by rings, eyes carved into dark corners, human figures making gestures inconsistent with Christian liturgy. Had the Vatican become a silent gallery of hidden messages? In the Pauline Chapel, for example, a lesser-known fresco depicts monks kneeling around a beam of light, not descending from heaven, but from a floating triangular object. Painted by a disciple of Michelangelo, the piece was traditionally viewed as an allegory of divine revelation. But for scholars of secret symbolism, the triangle is a direct nod to the Illuminati's hierarchical structure. At the Basilica of St. John Lateran, the oldest papal church in the world, an almost hidden mosaic sits along a side corridor. It shows a lamb surrounded by 13 figures. 11 stand. One kneels, offering a scroll. The last holds a staff marked with the symbol of infinity. None of the figures have halos, nor do they resemble any recognized saints. Who then are they? The repeated use of the number 13 in liturgical objects and tapestries raised suspicions, not because of its traditional mystical value, but due to its pattern. Candelabras with 13 candles, chapels with 13 stained glass windows, choirs with 13 voices. The number seemed to accompany architecture and music as a silent code of affiliation, an internal reminder that the true order lived between the lines of faith. Then came the most symbolic discovery of all. In the ceiling of a private room at Castel Gandolfo, used by popes for meditation, there was a fresco of a starry sky. But unlike traditional celestial maps, this one depicted constellations based on the alignment of 1776, the year of the official founding of the Bavarian Illuminati. Coincidence? Or a veiled declaration that the stars were guiding something beyond faith? These signs, invisible to the ordinary eye, became undeniable through a different lens. They were never hidden, they were displayed as a challenge, as a signature. And when symbols speak, it's because words are no longer enough. But what were these symbols truly saying? And who left them behind? The answer was closer than anyone imagined, and it was rising from the depths of the Roman Curia itself. With symbols now exposed in sacred structures, the investigation turned to the heart of power, the papal conclaves. Apocryphal records suggest that during at least 3 elections in the modern history of the Church, undocumented meetings were held parallel to the official votes. Meetings where the agenda was not choosing popes, but preserving influence and ensuring the continuity of an unseen directive. In 1939, just before the election of Pope Pius XII, there are indications that a select group of cardinals gathered at Castel Gandolfo under the pretext of a spiritual retreat. The meeting lasted 3 nights. A manuscript discovered years later by a Jesuit historian describes a hidden chamber beneath the monastery where a ritual of oath-taking was held in the presence of 13 clergymen. The number, once again, repeating. Unofficial testimonies speak of a ring, distinct from the ring of the fisherman, worn during these secret sessions, a black triangle set in onyx with an eye at its center. This ring would be passed from one member to another after a vigil of silence, a consecration ritual tied to the greater purpose of the Order of Light. Even more disturbing, there are classified photos, kept away from the public eye, showing high-ranking clergy wearing the object. The inevitable question emerged: could there be a conclave within the conclave? An invisible structure that, over the decades, ensured certain directives were followed, regardless of who sat upon the throne of Peter? A kind of parallel clergy, driven not by public faith, but loyalty to a far older pact rooted in pre-Christian traditions. The diary of Monsignor Lucchese, who vanished in 1978, days after claiming to have heard hidden voices beneath the Vatican gardens, reinforces the theory. In his final entries he wrote, "The true decision will not be made under the watchful eyes of the keys, but where light cannot reach. A name has already been chosen, but no one will dare to question it." Those words, dark and ambiguous, served as a warning. and confirmed what investigators had already suspected, that within the shadows of the Vatican exists a spiritual command structure that does not answer to the cross, but to an ancient symbol, older than the Church itself, and its power is far from symbolic. As the investigation progressed, another layer of darkness emerged, the financial trail, because where secrets live, money flows, and the files revealed that the true engine behind the Illuminati's influence in the Vatican might not have been ideological, but economic. The key was found in the records of the IOR, the Institute for the Works of Religion, known worldwide as the Vatican Bank. Large transfers to accounts in Liechtenstein, Malta, and Panama were traced to entities with names that strangely echoed the vocabulary found in the secret documents: Lux Capitalis, Ordo 1776, and Fraternitas Universal. The recipients, unregulated funds linked to so-called philanthropic organizations with no traceable headquarters. Most unsettling of all was the appearance of an internal code, Aurum Operantis. Translated as the operator's gold, this phrase showed up in internal invoices that matched no pastoral or evangelical activity. It was a code, an internal channel, a password that moved resources silently but effectively within the gears of the Church. At the same time, the disappearance of key documents during internal audits in 1982 and 1991 raised suspicions of deliberate sabotage. 2 Vatican employees tied to the financial sector vanished under circumstances never explained, shortly after reporting non-doctrinal transactions. One of the victims left a note. They are inside, and they are in control. This gave the question a whole new dimension. Could the Vatican be acting as a silent vault for a global secret network? Not just a spiritual stronghold, but a clandestine bank serving an invisible brotherhood? If the truth lies in the numbers, then faith may have been bought, and truth auctioned off in silence. With secret documents, hidden symbols, and suspicious transactions brought to light, the Illuminati dossier seemed finally complete. But that sense of completion was deceptive, because the essence of a true secret society is just that, revealing only enough to raise doubt, while hiding the essential. What has been exposed here is merely a crack in the wall that shields what lies behind Vatican doors. During the final compilation of the dossier, investigators found a sealed microfilm tucked between the pages of an uncatalogued diary. Its partially corrupted contents revealed old footage of private ceremonies involving ecclesiastical figures, all with their faces covered. In one frame, an elder in a white robe whispers a phrase in Latin, ad lucem per tenebras, to the light through darkness. That phrase, common in initiatory cults, appears nowhere in canonical church texts. Yet, with slight variations, it was found in letters signed by names linked to the alleged Order of Eternal Light. This suggested not just continuity, but evolution, as if, with each generation, the power game refined itself, adapting to the shadows of the present. And if all of this sounds far-fetched to you, look around. Why does the Vatican remain silent on so many episodes? Why do documents vanish? Why do names disappear from the official record? Perhaps because some truths are too dangerous even for men of faith, and because the Illuminati within the Vatican are not fantasy, They are presence, discreet, calculated, and possibly untouchable. Now the choice is yours. Do you believe all of this is mere coincidence? Or is there truly a secret force guiding decisions in the depths of the Holy See? Leave a comment. Does the Vatican guard the faith or protect a secret? Your thoughts could lead to new paths in this investigation. And if this content awakened something in you, like this video, share it with others who seek the truth, and subscribe to Vaticano Occulto. Because here, questions are never ignored. They are explored. And with each new discovery, the silence of the Vatican seems to echo louder. The Illuminati dossier has been opened. But what lies between the lines still lives on. And where there is light, there is always a shadow waiting to be revealed.